Good morning. I know everyone's still eating, but in the effort to have everybody out before lunchtime, we're going to try to get the program moving forward this morning. On behalf of the Richmond Area Chamber of Commerce, good morning and welcome. We're going to get started right away with the pledge, and Phil from the VFW is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Present arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Pastor Doro will provide us the invocation this morning.
Good morning and welcome to Richmond, the greatest city in all of Macomb County. And if you don't know that by now, you should. I have to say thank you to Keith, Sally Ringert, for inviting us, Rita and myself here this morning. And Keith said, when you get forward, remember me. He wanted his name mentioned. It has something to do with name recognition for politicians. And I think he's getting old enough to run for president. Just saying, Keith. I need to correct one thing. I am pastor emeritus of St. Peter Lutheran Church. I'm privileged to serve and have as my pastor Mark Haller, and his lovely wife Heather is the principal of our school. And this happens to be for St. Peter's the 150th year anniversary of our congregation, and at that location at Gratiot and 31 Mile. It was country when I moved here, and now it's city. So anyway, blessings to all of you as we come together this day. We begin, as the pastor would say in 1872, Lass uns beten. We begin in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, creator and giver of life, we come into this new day as a gift from your hand. We gather with these leaders, with the authority that you have cast flows from your hand. Our Lord Jesus Christ taught us the prayer that we call the Our Father. In that prayer we pray each time, give us this day our daily bread. As a Lutheran, I understand daily bread to mean all that I need for daily life, which includes good government, elected and appointed officials, leaders of community and service organizations, police, fire, EMS, first responders, all in the military. And we remember this day one of our officers who had a scheduled surgery, and as she goes through the time of rehabilitation. We thank you, Lord, for the gift of all who are assembled on this morning. Continue to raise up women and men with a commitment and a desire to serve the neighbor. Protect them from all threats of harm and danger. Keep them from the temptations that lead to corruption or a dishonoring of their oath of service. Give to each one wisdom and understanding, a voice to speak for everything that will serve for the good and the betterment of life, of the life that you give to us in these communities. Bless our time of gathering, sharing our discussions, that it may be for a greater unity, for the good of all. We pray this in the name of Jesus, the Son, whom you sent to this earth to show us your love and your grace. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Pastor Doro is also a member, he failed to mention, and this during National Police Week, is one of our public safety chaplains here in the community. We always appreciate his support in that regard. The next person I have to introduce really requires, I don't think, any introduction. She is the current president and executive director of the Richmond Area Chamber of Commerce. That is Susan Eisenhart. She is here with me this morning. Let's welcome Susan.
Thank you, Jeff. I just want to I get about 20 seconds here. I just want, I have about 20 seconds to speak, right, Jeff?
You used 10 of those.
10 of my seconds already. I want to thank you all for making this such a wonderful outcome. Thank you for coming. It's so important to our chamber and to bring it back together. I want to thank our dignitaries, our wonderful speakers that are all listed at this table, but nobody's here. But thank you for coming, Mark. Thank you, and God bless you all for coming. I also would like to introduce the board of directors. We're kind of a small board of directors. If anybody would have any thought you might want to be on the board of directors, you can contact me. The first person, Carrie Neiman, she's controller for Foster Oil's Sunrise Stores. I believe she's in the back. Please stand if you, nope, she's all the way. There she is, she's waving. Hi, Carrie. Jeff White, which we already know, Richmond Lenox EMS director. He is the vice president of the chamber. And then Kobe Green, assistant vice president, branch manager, community engagement officer. In the back. Kobe, will you stand, please? Thank you, Kobe. And Keith Ringart, what would we do without you? Seriously, what would we do? He is on the board of the directors. He gives us insight in everything that we do, and he's always there to help. He's quite a gentleman. If you don't know Keith, which I doubt there's anybody in this room that doesn't know Keith, thank you, Keith, for everything. We love you. That's all I have to say. I'm going to turn this over now to Jeff White.
Thank you, Susan. I have big shoes to fill here this morning. The guy who used to do this was a district court judge. Judge Dennis LeDuc. I kind of wish he was here this morning doing this again. And I can tell you he had a big hook so that when people started to talk too long up here, he would pull them off pretty quickly. He hasn't given me, he didn't turn over his hook to me, but I think I can have some of these uniformed gentlemen that are in the room help me in that regard if it comes to that. At this point, I'd like to invite to the stage all of our speakers. We have with us this morning County Executive Mark Hackle and County Chairman from St. Clair County, Jeff Bohm, Joe Stevens and Mayor Tim Ricks, Chris DeVos from Richmond Township, Bruce Christie. I'm not sure if Senator Lowers made it or not. We also have Township Supervisor Joe Stevens and State Representative Jeff Yarrick that will be joining us here at the front table and speaking this morning.
How are you?
Keith gave me 4 pages of notes, all color-coded and lettered up here, and I'm just hoping that I get them all right and do him proud. The other claim to fame that Keith Ringart may have that not everybody in the community is aware of is he was probably almost single-handedly responsible for bringing me to Richmond in 1989, and it has been a great journey and one that I will forever be in his debt for, as well as my family. So based on that list, the next thing that I need to do quickly is introduce those elected officials and community leaders that are here this morning that are not joining me here at the head table. And we have Emily Allen, City of Richmond, is here with us. Jamie Green, also City of Richmond Councilor and running for state representative in our area. So Jamie is here somewhere. So Jamie, welcome. Mike Mastrovich, Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Richmond. And as Mike is here, and our new police chief, just welcoming to the community, Tom Costello. Tom is here with us this morning. To you and all your officers, this is National Police Week and a good time to recognize you, Chief, and all those under your command that work at the Richmond Police Department, as well as our local county sheriffs and state police that patrol this area of northern Macomb. From Casco Township, we have the treasurer, Colleen Stover. We have trustee Daniel Goldson and Gina Kaczynski, trustee here. From Columbus Township, the supervisor is here, Mr. Bruce Christie. And from Lenox Township, we have Township Supervisor Anthony Reeder. I think he already was up on stage, as well as Mark Graybaugh, our deputy supervisor, is here. From Richmond Township, outside of Mr. DeVos, who's here on stage with us, we also have trustee Vern Coleman, and our treasurer, Cheryl Zulka, I believe, is here. I don't believe the Memphis mayor came in. At least I did not see him this morning. But we do have the president of the Village of New Haven here with us this morning, Ann Pridemore. Ann, welcome. From the state, we mentioned Jeff Yarrick being here. And from Richmond Community Schools, we have our superintendent, Brian Walmsley, here this morning. We also have, and maybe, I hope some of the most important people in the room today, because they really are the future of this community as I look around at some of us that are graying and even losing a little hair, the number of students that have joined our superintendent this morning. Why don't you guys stand up just for a minute for me? I'm always glad to see young people at places, because I worry often as given the number of years I've been in the community and as I look around and hear people talking about, retirement and spending more time in Florida and other things, you always wonder, what our future looks like. And that's what it looks like. And Richmond Community Schools does a wonderful job with that as far as preparing them to someday sit at these tables in the capacity as community leaders and business owners and elected officials. There's a couple other representatives that I wanted to mention that are here this morning. The Richmond Historical and Genealogical Society is represented here. John Beard, Christine, as well as Christine and Tom Habel. Richmond Community Theater, Max and Sandy Lunzer. Richmond Community Choir. Richmond Food Bank and the Good Samaritan Fund, Pat Bartosowitz is here. And representing the Richmond Rotary Club, Judy Phillips. We also have Jason Robbins, who is capturing us all on tape this morning, so if you make a mistake, the world will know. With that, I'm supposed to also mention the table sponsors this morning. There are a few of the table sponsors that I'm going to run through them all. That'll just be easiest for me. Sorry, Keith. And then there's a couple of the table sponsors that are our primary sponsors for today's event that I'm going to invite up to the podium for a minute to say a few words. So our gold sponsor for today's event is Smart Transportation. We'll talk just a little bit more about them in a minute. Also, PGS Dentistry. The team of Brian Pradko and Gerald Slanik, who have been in our community for a number of years. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here this morning. They're busy fixing people's teeth or something that they do important on a Friday morning. First State Bank is here, who's really sponsors almost everything in this community, I often feel. They really do a great job of always coming to the forefront and helping out anything that is Richmond. As well as our breakfast sponsor, which I think we should recognize with a round of applause because we all just ate a wonderful breakfast, and that would be Nickel and Saff Insurance. The Henry Ford Macomb Medical Center is here this morning. Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick has a table sponsored. Waste Management, R.G. Eisenhart, the Richmond Lions Club, Sincerely Susan's, Richmond Lenox EMS, And I'm just going to take a minute getting to that one. Sitting at the table to my right, at table number 13 on the 13th, is some of my team, a small portion of my team for Richmond Lenox EMS. These are the guys that during COVID, have stayed in the fight, sometimes at their own peril, and that of their families after they got the disease working when we didn't know what it was and took it home to their families. Before we had the opportunity to do that, these were the guys that provided about 16,000 vaccines here in the community with the help of the county executive and the folks from SMART, and I'm sure we'll all talk about that a little bit earlier. And then after we'd given all the vaccines and found out people still got COVID, they provided the monoclonal antibody treatment. That's a mouthful to say. But they provided the monoclonal antibody treatment to those folks who got it. So then they subjected themselves again to people with it, just in hopes of making them well and feel better. With that, guys, can you stand up and be recognized this morning? The Richmond Community Schools that we had mentioned is here, as well as North Star Bank and St. Peter's Lutheran Church and Schools. Those were all of our table sponsors that you're all sitting at. The sponsor is generally at the table. If you're at a table where you don't know everybody, kind of reach out and make sure you recognize and thank those sponsors that have joined us here. At this point, what I'm going to do is just turn the microphone over first to our gold sponsor, which is Smart Bus, and the general manager, Dwight Farrell, who's going to come up and say a few words.
Good morning. I think that payback is appropriate, and he will know about this payback in just a minute. First of all, I would like to say that it is indeed my privilege and honor to be the general manager of SMART. I've been in this business for a long time, and I've never worked at a better place with a better group of people. And I'm not just saying that because some of them are here. It is, in fact, the truth. And so I'd like to recognize my staff, or members of my staff at this table here. I won't call their names, but they do a great job, and I'm happy to be working with them. So if you could give them a round of applause for the work that they do. The other thing is that I learned this from my very first meeting with this very fine gentleman, is I have to thank the citizens of Macomb County for being the only county in the SMART system that is all in. And that is a significant feat, as I have learned in this community. And so I want to thank all of you who voted for it, and even if you did not vote for it, we still want to make you proud of the service that we do and we provide. We are a very good partner with Jeff in Richmond Lenox. The facility that he operates out of, we provided 40% of the funding for it, and we certainly provide community credits to this region and are looking forward to continuing to work with this community to be able to provide transportation as we go forward. At your table, you will see this. It says Smart Flex on it. Now, for those of you who are in St. Clair County, I'm sorry that this is not available to you, but you might want to consider maybe expanding and including Smart in the future. I'm just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. But for those of you who have not heard of Smart Flex is our pilot project that we started in each one of the counties that we operate in as an on-demand service using Chrysler Pacificas for you to be able to take out an app and be able to book and pay for your trip. Well, as I told the commission, the Macomb County Commission just yesterday, we are planning to expand that countywide. So wherever you happen to live in Macomb, you will be able to have this on-demand service. Now, it won't be service that you can take from Macomb County to downtown Detroit. No, you can't do that. But you will be able to move about your community, because part of what we want to make sure is we're transitioning from the transit system to the mobility manager. And what we want to be able to do is provide ultimately quality of life and independence. Now, there are a lot of people in this room who have hair that's my color. And it is important to me for us to keep our independence. And independence does not mean depending upon your children and your grandchildren to take you somewhere, because that's really a drag. And having been through this process with my mother and taking her keys, that was a loss of independence. SMART is committed to making sure that we continue to provide people with access and independence. Because quite frankly, my mother didn't want me telling her what to do, and I have children who would love to be able to tell me what to do. I am not interested in that. And so I'm sure neither of you. So again, I want you all to start thinking about SMART differently than just big buses. But I want you to also recognize that SMART is an intricate part of our community. We provide access to jobs, to doctors, we want to provide access to the movies if that's what you want to do. So with that, I want to thank Jeff and his organization for the outstanding job that they do. And my nephew is a sergeant in the Dallas Police Department, so I have a particular affinity for emergency responders and the work that they do. And so I want to thank all of you, and good luck, new police chief. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. So, like I say, PGS, which was one of our silver sponsors, was not able to be here this morning, but PGS Dentistry is another organization within our community that has always stepped up and supported this community. They're a community-centered family practice committed to promoting optimal dental health. They strive to combine their dental philosophy with the dental needs and goals of their patients. That's the fancy stuff they wrote for me. You know, Brian, Jared, and the team down there are just really great guys. If they do a wonderful job of carrying on the legacy of a dentist that was there for many years before them, a man named Frank Markey. And Frank was always very not only committed to his practice but this community. And Jared Jared and Brian have certainly carried that forward and taken it even further with beautiful new structures in our community. I guess they're not as new as they used to be, but fairly new structures in our community, and like I say, just do a great job. So with that, our final silver sponsor this morning is from First State Bank, and I think we have their president and CEO, Mark Jansen, here.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you to all the elected officials. I see some veterans here, and I also see first responders, so thank you all for what you do. A lot of you are probably looking at me wondering, who the heck are you, and where's Gene Lovell, and where's Larry Coosdale? Hopefully I'll be able to answer a couple of those questions today. But my name is Mark Jansen, and I am lucky enough to be the next president and CEO of First State Bank. Effective April 30th, Gene Lovell is retired now. And if I was a betting man, I would say he's probably with his grandkids right now, babysitting them and having a great time. So how about a round of applause for all the great things that Gene has done for the community. Gene is still going to be chairman of our board of directors at First State Bank. He'll be on several committees, and we'll be seeing him around quite a bit. There's a couple things I just wanted to let you know about me. The first is that I've worked with Gene over 26 years, pretty much my whole career. I started out at Plant Moran. First State Bank was a customer of mine, and then I worked for another 18 years directly for him. And Gene has taught me so many things. He's taught me a lot about life. He's taught me a lot about finance and banking. But one of the most important things he's talked to me about is giving back to the community. And I just wanted to express my commitment to you today that will not change with First State Bank. We're committed to communities like Richmond and all of the communities that we serve. The second thing I wanted to let you know about me is that the pastor mentioned that Richmond's the greatest city. I think that First State Bank is the greatest company. We're the greatest bank, we're the greatest community bank. And the reason that makes us so great is the amazing employees that we have at the bank. There's a whole table of us here today. But also, like I said, the things that we do for our communities. I'm just super excited to be such a small part of the big things that we do. I was asked just to give just a couple of points updates on what's going on in banking. First State Bank is flush with cash. We historically have always been, we're a very conservative bank, but with the federal stimulus that's happened over the last couple of years, a lot of those deposits have come back to the bank. And so why I'm saying that to you is that we are motivated to lend commercially, residentially. We're primed and ready for that. So if you're interested, there's a great group of people that would love to talk to you about that. The other thing I'd like to talk about is the housing market. If anybody's been in the housing market, whether you're buying or selling homes, it's kind of crazy right now with the competition and the pricing. And I would just suggest to you that if that's something that you're into now, that you come in and talk to somebody at First State Bank and get pre-approved. Being pre-approved for a mortgage, it goes a long way when you're up against 10 or 12 people trying to buy a house. The other thing I would say about that market is we have a great product called a bridge loan. So if you're in the market and you find a house that you want to buy before you sell your existing home, we can take the equity out of your current house that you have and use that towards the new house. And it's been a very successful product for us. Those are all my prepared remarks. I hope everybody has a great morning, a great breakfast, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. And now on to our guest speakers this morning. The first speaker we have with us this morning is the chairman of our St. Clair County Board of Commissioners, Mr. Jeff Bohm. Mr. Chairman.
How come I always got to go first? What doesn't Hackle ever get to? I'm like the warm-up band, Milli Vanilli, and he's the Rolling Stones. Jeez. Girl, you know it's true. Anyways, I'd like to thank you guys for having me out here today. He's got the clock. And Mayor Ricks and council here, I'd like to thank for hosting this today. I get a chance to come out to your national holiday every year, the Richmond Good Old Days. New chief of police, I got to get to know you. So if you got a chance to come to our State of the County this year, I'm a big bricks and mortar guy, so I'm going to touch base a little bit about some of the stuff that's actually going on in St. Clair County. I was coming home probably 6 weeks ago. We actually had our State of a County event roughly a month ago, and when I was driving through the south end of the county, just kind of driving and reflecting on all the different things that happened over the last 2 years. So number one, it's good to see everybody. Just finally getting back out, finally getting to do meetings in face. Long time being cooped up. So when I was coming back through, if you get an opportunity, I was talking to the young lady from Smart here that actually lives down in Clay Township. They just had built a new business down there. It's called the Cabana Blue Lakefront Sports Bar and Grill. Essentially, this individual, Joe and Monica Henninger, bought this island, and they converted this island into what just is a first-class, state-of-the-art place. It's really cool if you get a chance. They put in 1,600 foot of seawall down there. They opened up opportunity for 135 boats. Like I said, it's unbelievable what they did. I'm kind of working my way from the south end of the county. Here, I'll let you collect my papers, Mark. So, if you get into Marine City, we just recently worked with the city of Marine City on a Marine City Marina project. We were able to secure a 14-slip marina in Marine City. If any you guys are boaters in the room, if you've ever come through and you went to Marine City, there's nowhere to stop in Marine City. There's nowhere to get gas. There's nowhere to do those types of things. So really a great first step for the city of Marine City to be able to have that project. City of St. Clair, Riverbank Theater. If you guys have ever been to the theaters down in Marine City, the Snug and the Riverbank, Tom and Kathy Verton have actually undertaking a new theater project in downtown St. Clair, 350-seat theater project. I got an opportunity to go to Stratford twice to understand the economic impact of what that does. Tom and Kathy currently draw 23,000 people a year to their theaters down in Marine City. 40% of those people come from outside of the market. So to be able to add another 350 seats is pretty exciting stuff. Something near and dear to my heart. I don't know if any of you have been to the outdoor concert series in St. Clair that we started a couple years ago. I actually am the ones that work with the chamber to raise the money to actually program that out. This is our third summer. The first summer we had $18,000, put on roughly 33 shows. Last year we produced 122 shows. I raised $145,000. This year I have $257,000. I have 173 shows booked for this summer coming up. And really, I like to tag it Nashville of the North. We're going to have music and entertainment going on down there 24/7, something Macomb County does not have, just for the record. One of the other opportunities, you might be familiar with the Magna plant. We landed a Magna plant which is building the trays for the new Hummer, which was a really big deal for us. That building was built in 10 and a half months. 360,000 square foot in the city of St. Clair, roughly 540 new jobs, and we're really looking forward to some additional expansion, hopefully with them. Marysville soccer field, City of Marysville partnered up with St. Clair Community College to build a brand new, really first-class soccer field. When you talk about soccer fields and ball diamonds, and if anybody's had kids in this room, which I know y'all have, every weekend, I got 2 daughters, and we'd go here, go there, go there. These things can be a tremendous amount of impact for your bars and restaurants and your hotels. So when you have these facilities, you're able to host these kinds of things. So, for example, in St. Clair County, SC4 was able to convert their field house. We just had the NJCAA women's basketball tournament not that long ago. We had over 1,200 room nights because of that in our hotel. Just big stuff. We're getting a new EDA building. We were lucky enough to get an opportunity to receive a grant which is heavily focused around the business incubator. I think a lot of you today understand the business incubator. A lot of the stay home at work stuff, it's real. I just read the article today, Blue Cross and Blue Shield's moving out of the Renaissance Center, and they're going to a lot of these smaller off-print, which is really some of the things that bode well for St. Clair County, because St. Clair County is a great place to live. But at the end of the day, 40% of our people actually drive outside of the area. And this is why I always like to, see Macomb County do so well. 32% of our people roughly in St. Clair County drive to Macomb County for employment. And you know why that is? Because Hackle's got you taxed to death. You can't afford a house there. So come to St. Clair County. Macomb's not my home, just for the record. We actually get along, believe it or not. I can't wait till it's his turn to get back with me. So then if you slide up into Port Huron, downtown Port Huron, we had what was called the old Art Band building. I don't know if you've been downtown Port Huron lately, but they bought this. Larry Jones, who owns half of downtown Port Huron, is actually converting this project into 36 lofts, farmers market, so on and so forth. It's roughly a $15 million investment in downtown Port Huron. McMorran Plaza's getting a big redo out in front of it, which is kind of going to be the arts and culture, music types of things. McMorran just did a really neat job. That's going to be kind of the centerpiece for Port Huron. We have a downtown grocery store, downtown Port Huron. Steve Fernandez, Michelle Jones actually moved from Alaska to our community back in 2012, and they're opened up a downtown grocery store, about a $5 million investment in our downtown. A lot of the grab and go, but a lot of really neat high-end stuff. And that's just to highlight 9 projects there, and there's additional. Warwater Brewery in St. Clair, for example. They put a bunch of money into their place. And the reason I highlight these particular projects, this all happened in the last 2 years in St. Clair County. And the reason I emphasize and talk about these projects, if we can do this stuff, during what just happened, the future is extremely bright for St. Clair County. So I appreciate you guys having me out today. I'm going to be around if you have any questions after the fact, but thank you.
Chairman Bohm, Jeff, just in your comment about the Rolling Stones and the order of speaking, it made me think of the infamous words of Mick Jagger, "You can't always get what you want." Having said that, I am a St. Clair County resident as well. The county does do a marvelous job. Doesn't have quite the ring of "Make Macomb your home." Just as we introduce Executive Hackle, I was really careful about how I said that this morning because recently I had the honor of introducing our county executive at a meeting. And I got up and somebody put the microphone in my hand, and I said, "It's my pleasure to introduce my dear friend, Sheriff Mark Hackle." And right after the words came out, I realized I could never take them back again. But Mark and I have worked together for many, many years. I just want to highlight an event from yesterday that occurred yesterday, actually late in the afternoon. And the reason why I want to highlight it is this. I met Executive Hackle as a dispatcher at the county. He helped manage and dispatch the county 911 system. That was a lot of years ago. And he worked his way up through the county until he became the sheriff, and now we're very fortunate to have him as our executive. But the reason I mention that is yesterday, with all the other news that was going on, something that has gotten a little missed was thanks to his leadership and the driving of his office and the support of our county commissioners. They did approve a stipend that will be going on every cell phone in the county. We're very sorry about that, but those of us in public safety, those of us that have recently dealt with COVID, and we saw what happened when many people were calling at the same time, not only for disease but for vaccines and other things. We really needed that, and those are the kind of things that a lot of elected officials don't like to talk about. Taxes. A lot of elected officials don't like to talk about raising taxes, but Executive Hackle is one of those people that really hasn't cared so much about that. What he's cared about is public safety and those of us that provide that service in the community. So, Mark, my friend, with that, thank you very much. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. We don't have, and we're probably not going to get Nashville to the north, but we do have indoor plumbing and running water here in Macomb County. With that being said, Chief, there is a reason why I'm here. I'm his driver until he gets to know you. Then he may drive up and down the streets here in this wonderful community we have here. I just got to kind of take a step back for a second. Smart, Dwight is here. Obviously, Robert and the rest of the team. I got to say this because most people sometimes don't realize it, and it's kind of on the heels of what Jeff just got through talking about when it comes to sometimes there is a reason or a need to raise taxes. We have one of the lowest millage rates as a county in the state. I mean, and that's thanks to the Board of Commissioners and the work we did even with the charter. But the reality is there are opportunities to tell people that we're looking for or increasing in certain areas specific so that you know what your tax dollars are going for. SMART happens to be one of those areas. And as was mentioned earlier on by Dwight, we're the only county that has decided to put it on a ballot countywide. And there's been a benefit throughout the entire county. So in other words, specific needs are taken care of specifically by SMART and the work that they do. But I got to give them credit. It was alluded to, but I got to really expound upon this. That crisis that we just had, that pandemic, was one that I got an opportunity to kind of watch and see how people interacted, and it was very insightful to me. And it was by no mistake. Many organizations, whether it was Richmond Lenox EMS under the leadership of Jeff, public safety officials, fire departments, our schools, everyone came together to try to figure out how do we resolve this problem, but let's do it in a way where we're not going after one another, giving out good information as opposed to what we're hearing in social media about what's going on with the national media. How do we work together to try to solve this problem? One of those specific areas was when we started, we had vaccines coming our way, and we had to worry about the population that was most vulnerable. And if you remember early on, it was our senior citizens. And then it became the concern of those that had underlying health issues. Well, with that being said, without even having the opportunity to figure out how do we deal with the influx of folks that want to sign up and get the vaccine, because there were many people that wanted to, specifically our senior citizens, they were looking for them. And we hadn't yet had a system in place to try to figure out what do we do about taking those calls and putting a list together. Smart not only stepped up and says we will be that phone number that they can call, and we will set up that phone bank while you take care of the vaccination process. Smart did that, and they didn't have to. They stepped up to the plate for our seniors here in Macomb County, and on top of that, what they also said is, and we will provide transportation rides to any senior anywhere here in Macomb County and transport them out to Lenox Township, where Richmond Lenox EMS was providing those vaccines out of their facility. That's the kind of working relationship we have here in Macomb County. That's the partnerships that we have with these organizations that, yes, sometimes they do cost us a little bit more in our taxes, but they're specific to providing a need and a service to the people. So again, Dwight, I can't thank you and your team, Robert, for the work that you've done on behalf of the senior citizens here in Macomb County and the rest of the residents in Macomb County with SMART and the service you provide. So thank you for the work you did. Now, on that note, you can imagine there's a number of folks up here, and if you look at just 5 minutes apiece, you're talking well over an hour with conversation here. So rather than get into specific details about everything that's going on here in Macomb County, I just want to kind of talk about a few areas of highlight, if I may. One of those happens to be when we talk about what are we doing with the agricultural industry, and this is something near and dear to many of the folks up in this north end, especially the farmers, and a guy like Ken DeCook, who really cares about it. In fact, once I came in here, first thing he asked me is, can I find somebody who is a tractor driver? Because he too is looking for employees, but he was specifically asking if I might be interested in that particular job. I know we have some students from the high school here. If you're interested, he's paying $35 an hour for a tractor driver. Was that the price tag? Was that $35 an hour? No, not quite there. Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, that's all right. So I would have took that job. So. But with that being said, I mean, it's so important, so significant, even during this pandemic, if you recognize, I mean, how important that was. One of the essential services that was identified early on was the food industry. You know, and that farm to fork that we have here in Macomb County still exists. Ken will probably correct me on this. There's still about 400 farms here in Macomb County. I think about 73,000 acres of land here in Macomb County. He'll correct me, but that's all right. Don't listen to him. Just listen to the numbers I just gave you. But with that being said, Ken does sit on the agricultural committee at the state level and does a great job of fighting for our needs. But our planning department here in Macomb County, Vicki Rowinski, our director of planning, and her team, anybody that still has an interest in this PDR program, see Vicki and or Ken. They'll explain it to you. Great opportunity to preserve our land here in Macomb County specifically to ensure that we're going to have the agricultural industry, which is a huge economic impact on us, but also one of those most essential needs that we have, especially when we saw what just happened with the pandemic and what we're seeing around the country right now with the lack of food that people may have. So also, two things I want to mention. There is funding that's out there right now. And what we have been able to get here in Macomb County was fortunate early on. We got what was called this money that came in from the CARES funding. Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, Sinclair did not get it. Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and Kent County, as well as the city of Detroit, got a substantial amount of money, and it was about $152 million for Macomb County. Just the counties got that, as well as obviously the city of Detroit. That was what I call transactional money. And what do I mean? We had to figure out how do we buy PPE, take care of vaccinations, reach out to our business communities, and I want to thank the chamber out here as well for the work they did with our planning department to get money in the hands of businesses to keep them sustained during that crisis. But again, that $152 million went so quickly. And again, in the end, the question was, what do we really get for it? Well, it just kind of helped deal with the pandemic at that time. Well, on the heels of that, they came up with this American Recovery Plan dollars that are coming our way. Macomb County got $172 million, but so too did every jurisdiction in the county of Macomb. In fact, every jurisdiction in the state of Michigan, every county in the state of Michigan, and this goes for the rest of the country. Macomb County got $172 million, so this time we took a look at that, talking with our Board of Commissioners, Don Brown, we said, you know what are we going to do that's not so much transactional, but transformative? And there are areas of interest that we have been trying to address and trying to figure out how do we solve the problem for quite some time. And one of those is the underground issue, and we've been working closely with Candace Miller, and she's done a phenomenal job. Every time I get a chance to talk about the work she's been doing and the working relationship we have together, it's been amazing. It's about trying to figure out how do we solve the problems with the underground issues that sometimes go unnoticed. We talk about roads and bridges, and that's going to continue to be problematic until we come up with sustainable funding that's going to solve that problem. Not the 1-2 time gimmicks of trying to give you some money to fix this bridge and that road. But we come up with sustainable funding, we'll fix the infrastructure issue here. Because I always say, It's not about fixing the damn roads or fixing the damn bridges. There isn't a damn road or a damn bridge we can't fix if we fix the damn funding. So once we get to that point, and it's a legislative responsibility, we will fix all the roads and bridges that we need to fix, or at least get ahead of the problem in the short term. So with that being said, we are looking at another project here in Macomb County, 2 of them. We have the commitment on behalf of the Board of Commissioners to come up with the funding and the plans that go behind that project, but specifically for those in law enforcement, whether it's the folks that work for the EMS, the police officers, and even in the fire service. We know all too well, and those that are part of the hospital systems, that mental health and substance abuse are a prevalent issue in communities. Everybody probably knows somebody that has substance use, mental health issue. If it's not in a family, it's a friend, it's a close relative, it's a neighbor, somebody you know, and if you don't know somebody that has one of these issues, you're a very fortunate person. But look out, the time is coming. We see this in communities throughout the entire, not just county, but throughout the country. Well, when law enforcement, public safety comes in contact with somebody with mental health issues, it is a challenge for us. We can identify, we notice it, but we don't know what to do with it. And again, that becomes a problem, because where do they end up? In a lockup or in a county jail. So what we're going to be doing here in Macomb County, in a short, description of this, is restructuring the facilities that we have and working within the system. So we're looking at a potential about $100 million to spend so that we don't have to figure out how do we fix the jail by coming up with a millage and taxing the people. We have now funding that's going to help us right-size that facility so we can manage the personnel that are coming in there from society. Make a determination, do they need to be incarcerated so that they're no longer a danger to society? If they're not, we'll find other placement for them, because we have the ability to do that now. But if they need to stay in that facility, how do we do it so that 2 things happen? One is they're not harming themselves, harming someone else in the facility, or finding a way to fix the problem that they may have. So the question becomes, okay, that's great, you got the ARP money that's going to help with that, the brick and mortar structure of that. How are you going to come up with the funding to support what needs to be done for the programming? Many of you know that we had this issue of the crisis with the opioid crisis. You probably had heard that there was some lawsuits that came about. Macomb County joined with the city of Detroit, myself, Mayor Duggan, several years ago, decided to sue the opioid manufacturers and distributors for a reason. We wanted to stop the flow of opioids that were being prescribed in the area, because it was an overabundance. So that immediately stopped. Within about a 3-4 month period that happened, but we ended up finding out recently we got a settlement. So Macomb County and every municipality that got involved in the lawsuit, even the state of Michigan, got funding. Macomb County stands to receive $1.5 million over the next 18 years that's coming in. And our Health and Human Services organization, the coordinating committee, is going to be using that funding to deal with the programming, to deal with people that have substance abuse, mental health issues that come in contact with public safety. And from, as Jeff had mentioned, my experience in law enforcement over 40 years ago, that connection is still there. It is one of those needs that we need to address, and I think Macomb County is, we're going to be at the forefront of doing something that many other communities are going to be looking at and saying, how do they do this? How do they fix or solve this problem so that public safety, when they come in contact with these folks, aren't sticking them in a lockup? Because I'm a true believer that confinement is never a substitute for treatment for those that do not need to be incarcerated, and if there's an obvious way forward for these folks. So in Macomb County, I'm fortunate Don Brown and the Board of Commissioners are supportive of that project as we move forward, and in some of the other money for other projects we're looking at. So in Macomb County, we've got a lot of projects. I can go on for hours talking about the various things that are happening in the various communities, 27 distinct, unique municipalities that make up Macomb County. We're excited about it. But let me just tell you this. If you're looking for some support from Macomb County, go to macombgov.org, or reach out to Vicki Rowinski and her team at planning, because we want to be your business partner. And in fact, if you call us as a business and you're looking for that support, we will respond. It's not just by email. You will have a personal contact. And in the end of it, we do not send you a bill. We want to be your business consultant here in Macomb County. So thanks for having me, Jeff. And once again, thank you for all the work that's being done. And again, on this very noticeable week, this happens to be National Law Enforcement Officers Week. As part of my background in law enforcement, I can't thank our public safety officials enough, not only for what they just got through doing recently during this pandemic, but obviously moving forward, what they do day to day in their efforts to try to make sure they're taking care of us while we just go about our daily business. So Chief, congratulations on your appointment, and thank you to you and your men and women working within your organization. Thank you very much.
All right, the next individual I have to introduce is our esteemed mayor of the city of Richmond, Tim Ricks. I just want to give a little background, a quick background on Tim. And I'm going to try to do this for those of you that ever saw the Oscars, the slap heard around the world. I'm going to try not to get, slapped as I announce them. But with that, what I wanted to tell you about Tim is this. In 1989, I came here. In 1999, the mayor at that time came to me and he said, Jeff, we have a problem. And I thought, we have a problem with the EMS. And he said, oh, no, we don't have a problem with EMS. He said, we have a problem in that we contribute to SMART. And we have people in this community that need transportation for things like health care and to get to the grocery store and in some cases to get to work. He said, we need to figure out how to make SMART work in this community. And so it was really that conversation and his vision, as well as Keith Rangert, who I mentioned earlier, and others sitting here in this room with us today, that came together and said, let's figure out how to make transit work in northern Macomb County. That was 99. They gave us one bus. Cute little fun story I like to tell. The first driver of that bus was my wife. I only hired her not out of nepotism, but because I said this is never going to work and I'm going to feel really bad when I have to lay somebody off. True story. She would load up my daughter, who was 2 then, put her in the back of the bus, and the little old ladies that we would transport loved to talk to the kids, and they would drive them around the county. Fast forward today, and thanks to the vision of people like Mayor Ricks, we will move about 25,000 people this year on 11 buses that we operate in partnership with our friends at SMART. So with that, Mayor Ricks, thank you very much for all of that and all that you do for our community.
And yes, SMART, you do a wonderful, wonderful job for our community. We can't thank you enough. Your last manager was a godsend to this community, and we tried to hire him, but he was going other directions after he left you guys. Anyhow, good morning on behalf of the City Council. Welcome to Richmond. I really agree with Pastor Darrow. We really feel we have one of the greatest communities in Macomb County and a little bit of Sinclair County. 2 residents, yes. Yeah, our $8 a year we get for your park and rec millage just does wonders for us. I, again, would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for having the elected officials breakfast this morning. It's great to bring together all these people and the businesses into our community. It is my pleasure to talk about exciting things that are going on in the city of Richmond in my 6 minutes that I've been given. I, like Mark Hackle, could go on for hours about the great things that are happening in our community. It's amazing for a small town what is happening here and some of the partnerships that we have put together over the years that continue to flourish to make us one of the greatest towns in Macomb County. To begin with, the city experiencing steady residential growth. Existing homes in Richmond are selling very fast and very expensive. In 1921, we had 14 homes building permits. We've already exceeded that in 2022. Many of the new homes are being built in our subdivisions, such as Lake Angela, Swan Creek Estates, and also Orchard Meadows. Our newest subdivision, West Richmond subdivision, which our superintendent has just become a resident of the city of Richmond in his brand new home in this subdivision. That subdivision is well underway with 18 permits already pulled with our building department. The city is currently working with the Phoenix Contracting and Macomb County Public Works to gain approvals to begin the last phase of the Swan Creek development. It will be called the Victoria Estates, which consist of 44R1, our largest lots, in the northwest section of the city of Richmond. The past couple of years, we've also seen the infill development of some of the larger lots that we've had in our community for many, many years. Those lots are starting to fill up also at this time in our older neighborhoods. Along with the residential growth, commercial growth continues to happen very fast in our city. We continue to see the investment in our traditional downtown area, this being our downtown area in the midsection. Especially our North Historic District is seeing new and relocated businesses, such as the Shabby Pig, the Green Time Workshop, and All Tapped Out Gaming. Last night at our Planning Commission, we approved a new drive-through breakfast coffee shop that will be in the Muttonville district on Main Street. And we're excited about that also because the business that we have is very, very busy and backs up. I think there's enough business in our community for both of these to flourish. Also, the Marcel's dress shop building that was there for over 50 years, the family retired, and we have since had a new State Farm insurance company come in, and a vocal studio has also moved into that building. Hummingbird Homes, which was right next door here for quite some time, has moved into a new, larger location in a beautifully renovated historic building in the Midtown. It also is home to the pop-up bakery known as our Daily Bread Bake Shop. Eric Gordon, many of you know him as the owner of Pinall, has done a great job rehabilitating Old City Hall in our Granary District. And other businesses are renovating right across the street. There's a building expanding into the building next to it between Chaps and their business. And others are keeping our Planning Commission and our Building Department very busy. Along with the commercial activity, the city works to maintain a high quality of life for our residents and neighbors. Our Parks and Recreation Department has great programs for families and seniors. The Summer Recreation Guide was just put out this past week with all the programs that will be going on throughout the summer months. And our parks are well maintained and acres of recreation for everyone to enjoy. This year we have also worked very hard to have enough lifeguards. It was very difficult the last couple of years, especially with COVID, to get enough lifeguards. We interacted with many of the other communities in the area and tried to share lifeguards just to open up some of the pools in the area. And we were lucky enough to get a few, and we were in limited hours this year. It looks as though we may have a full staff again. The same thing with what we call Camp Richmond. It's a camp program that we have in our parks throughout the summer. And I believe just this past week, we were able to get enough 18 and overs to run this camp, and that's going to be a great thing to bring back to our city. The Lois Wagner Memorial Library offers great programs throughout the year. The summer reading programs for our children are well used, and a unique program unique programs are always coming up with. The latest one has been the adult puzzle competition. It's amazing to see some of those puzzles put together within a couple hours when my wife takes 2 weeks on the dining room table. Not that she's bad, I could never do that myself. We also have plans for renovations and modernization of our library. The plans have been laid out and funding has been planned. Hopefully within the next year or two, we'll be able to follow through on that renovation. Certainly our partnership with Richmond Township has helped improve this library and the service to both our residents from both of our communities. We really appreciate the partnership that we've had with Richmond Township. We've had a lot of changes in personnel over the past year with many retirements and long valued employees. Half of the DPW right now is very, very young. Many have gone through the AIS/Richmond Schools heavy equipment program, which has worked out very well for the city of Richmond, and I'm sure for many of the students that have gone through that program to gain employment. Some have come from us. We've stolen them from some of our contractors, and even from the Oregon Department of Transportation. The snows here are nothing compared to what he saw while he was in Oregon. They've done an excellent job of maintaining and going beyond for us, and we really appreciate the effort that they give. We have recently hired our new chief, who's been introduced. I'm going to introduce Tom again. He is a great chief. He comes to us from the city of Centerline, and we are definitely looking forward to his new ideas and his new leadership after the retirement of Chief Teskey. Our city clerk, 35 years. She just retired, and we wish her well. We have just completed our interviews and are very excited with the caliber of applicants that we have had here, 27 of them to be exact, and the technology that they will be bringing to the city excites all of us. The final project I need to share this morning is what we finally call the AUD, the Roosevelt Civic Auditorium. It was built in 1939 and it was owned by Richmond Community Schools for all those years. The building had seen better times. It was in great need of repairs and renovations to continue to use the building. The school decided to sell the building, and of course the city went to work with the school to obtain the building. The city promised to repair the building and return it to a civic center and auditorium. It also has a nice gymnasium in it. All this for the good of the community. Given that, the school board voted to sell the property to the city for $1. Our next order of business has been to schedule some much needed repairs. As we talk, they are putting on a brand new roof, the new parking lot. The parking lot has been removed. The asphalt has been removed. A new parking lot should be laid within the next week, weather permitting. And also the exterior is all brick, and the exterior brick has come loose in some of the areas through leaks. We have hired a company who is repointing all that brick, and the building on the exterior should be in great shape for another 80 years, we hope. We have engaged the public to take input on the use of the building through surveys. Our Parks and Recreation Department, our TIFA, and also the City Council have all taken steps, working together with the administration to carefully plan and implement building needs and future programs in use of this just beautiful, historic, iconic building on our Main Street. We are very excited about this project, and we are hoping for a fall opening. While I'm at it, somebody who has been instrumental in the advancement of this community and his staff is here with us today. John Moore, please stand up, our city manager. John's been, John, what is it, 96 or 97? 97. John's been here. And city manager for how many years now, John? 18? 16. And has just done a phenomenal job of working with our city council and all the boards and commissions that we have, and has really helped to make it a team effort in what we have been able to produce here for our residents and our neighbors. We look forward to working with the business community in our community. We look forward to working with our residents and future residents, and certainly our neighbors, to make our community a safe and a vibrant place to live and do business. And with that, thank you very much for allowing us to tell about Richmond today.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I might have scooped up my maybe my list of who's speaking next, but possibly.
No, this one that's all marked up.
That one that.
What's that say next to
that one that
Paul's
Keith
name?
gave me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, we turn that back on. Very good. With that, the next individual I get to introduce is a gentleman I've had the pleasure of working with for a number of years. Previously had been trustee for I'm not certain how many years in Casco Township. Now the supervisor there, and this keeps cutting out, so I'll just talk really loud for a minute. We'll see if we can get this fixed in just a second. But that would be Casco Township Supervisor Joe Stevens. Joe, the mic is up.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you. I've been supervisor since February. However, I've been on the Casco board for 25 years as a trustee, and I was the board's representative of the Planning Commission. And before that, before I was on the board, I was on the Zoning Board of Appeals for almost 3 years. So it's good. I'm glad I've had that experience before I jumped in the role of supervisor. It really prepared me. But I'd like to think right now that Casco Township is in a time of change and update. And the biggest one, Jeff is a part of this, we're studying the Marine City Highway corridor, how that melds in with the 26-mile road. How is that going to look for the future? What do we want in development? Recently, I've been in some very preliminary talks with Ira Township. Ira Township has water main halfway down from County Line to Meldrum Road. But the need is when we have development along there, we need to have a parallel main on Casco's side. It's just how civil engineering works. So we're now planning what this is going to look like, how we're going to finance it. I've been working with Dan Casey from Sinclair County Economic Development. Along with that, we're looking at a spur of that development up County Line Road to I-94. We've recently been approached by a large trucking company to put a terminal there, right at County Line Road and Springborn Lane. And they want water up there. So at Dan Casey at our township meeting, he introduced us to the various forms of financing. And I want to choose something that's going to work to develop it, but yet not be a burden on the general fund of the township. So he has some ideas, and we're going to move from there. And we also have some questions on access because of what trucks entering County Line right at the base of the overpass there on County Line. So there's a lot of discussion on that, and we're excited to see that move that forward. The next big thing is Casco Township Bell River Park. We are in the preliminary stages of developing our park. We were successful last year getting a DNR recreational passport grant to develop phase 1. That's a driveway in off Fredmore Highway. Our park, if you don't know, it's on Fredmore Highway right next to the BP station once you go over I-94. And we secured a passport grant to develop phase 1, which is the driveway in, a parking lot, and some connecting walkways and a pad for restroom facilities. We wanted to go for a recreation, for a development grant, but we found out our rec plan fell out of date at the end of the year. So word to the wise, make sure your rec plans are up to date if you're going to apply for DNR development grants. In turn, we applied for another passport grant to build a picnic pavilion there. So, matter of fact, I have to do some work on that today. We hope next year to get our development grant to take a road all the way back to Bell River to give people access if you want to go fishing, kayaking, canoeing. What's so unique about the Bell River Park is it's going to connect 2 trails potentially. A river trail, we hope, from Memphis to Marine City along Bell River. And I've been in some discussions with a trail linking Richmond to St. Clair along Division Road and Fredmore Highway. The Casco Township Bell River Park is an area where both those trails come together. So it's kind of a unique position. We're excited about this, the process of this. The next big thing is our hall renovations. Township Hall was getting kind of tired. We've been in the process of renovating. Our clerk, Jennifer Anderson, and our deputy clerk, Vicki Hulk, who's here this morning, have been our project manager. And they took a very tired-looking building updated it and refreshed it, make it look bright and clean, able to serve our residents better. Matter of fact, yesterday we had our big screen TV installed where we can do presentations, especially for the planning commission or for training sessions. So we hope to have an open house sometime when our renovations are done to invite everybody in there to take a look at it. Also in updates, in the line of updates, we've updated our operations. Last year, we, like many communities have, we invested in the BSA software, and that's greatly aided our departments, our treasurer's department, our clerk's department, and our building department, and made them more efficient. Before, especially our building department, we have our building clerks, Brenda Loper and Katie Holt here. It was very paper intensive, and that took a lot of time. Now using the BSA software has greatly aided them in their jobs. Okay, and lastly, even though we look at developing the Marine City Highway Corridor and the spur up County Line Road, in Casco Township, we have a commitment to keep Casco as rural as possible. Yeah, we want development down those corridors, but we want, for the most part of the township, to maintain that rural character that people love about this area, the Richmond area. So we're committed to that. We're committed to serving the residents and working with the neighboring communities here, both in Macomb and St. Clair counties, to develop a better place for our residents to live and work and play. All right, thank you again for inviting us here, and it's been an honor.
Thank you very much. The next person I can introduce is the new supervisor from Lenox Township, our township supervisor, Anthony Reeder. Anthony was recently elected in the last presidential cycle as our township supervisor. It's been incredibly refreshing to have the opportunity to work with Anthony. Anthony's a little younger than many of us in the room. And young, I find refreshing. Sometimes, after many, many years in this community, you feel you keep doing things the same way because we've always done them that way. And my recollection is he has a sign, very near his office that says, the words I hate the most in the world was, we've always done it that way. He has brought to our community and will continue to bring to our community for years to come new thoughts, new ideas, and sometimes just asking questions about why. There's sometimes the old way is all right, but certainly needs to be explained. It needs to be explained in a way that people will understand it. And Anthony forces us all to do that every day, and we all appreciate it. So with that, Anthony, thank you.
For the record, I'm only 22 years old, so.
And he has them on.
I've had the pleasure of serving Lenox Township since the last presidential election cycle, and I do look forward to continue to serve Lenox Township in the years ahead. With the results of the decennial census released, I am proud to stand up here and say that the population of Lenox Township from 2010 has increased from 10,470 persons to 12,119 persons. If anyone's doing the math, if we're in St. Clair County, we'd be their second largest community. They're that small. Hey, you fired the first shot.
Hey, don't interrupt it.
I'm even more pleased and more proud to say that Lenox Township's population percentage change of 15.75% surpasses that of every other township in both Macomb and St. Clair counties. Lenox Township has consulted with comparable communities regarding the current growth of our community. Our prospective growth exceeds all surrounding communities with comparable population with new commercial growth. If you look at Gratiot, you will see the point. We are currently in a class of our own for new development. Lenox Township is truly a hidden jewel in Macomb County. We're the only ones with a state park. No one else has one. Since its founding in 1837, which if you do the math also, it makes Lenox 185 years old this year. Lenox Township has never had a formal Parks and Recreation department. At my behest, and this is where Jeff kind of pointed out, I brought in new ideas. The Lenox Township Board of Trustees recently approved the creation of our own Parks and Recreation department, including the establishment of our own Parks and Recreation department. We authorized the creation of a Parks and Rec committee. This shall usher in a new era of Lenox Township and for our residents, allowing the people to have a voice in how their Parks and Recreation is ran. Recently, to increase the safety of our community, because if you go down Gratiot, I'm sure at least everyone in this room has been stuck behind a semi-truck. Lenox Township recently enhanced our contract with the Macomb County Sheriff's Office to add a motor carrier officer to Lenox Township. While certain individuals may see the addition of this deputy as targeting just commercial vehicles or a waste of money, this truly is not the case and couldn't be any further from the truth. This deputy, who also lives in our community, takes great pride in it. It enhances the overall safety of our community. Now here's a fair warning. If you're speeding down Gratiot, you might want to just slow down. He will get you. I would be amiss if I didn't thank Chief Jeff White and the Richmond Lenox EMS for the courageous and heroic work that they have done during the COVID-19 pandemic. In partnership with Macomb County Health Department and SMART, Richmond Lenox EMS was able to administer 16,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine to the most vulnerable population, the seniors. Now, on a more somber note, I am sure that most of you have seen on the news regarding the upcoming activity at the Pine Tree Acres landfill in Lenox Township. This will most likely affect some, if not all, of our communities. Lenox Township remains committed to assisting the ongoing search for Zion Foster in any way, shape, or form possible. The hearts, thoughts, and prayers of Lenox Township go out to the family of Zion Foster. No parent should ever have to endure the loss of their child. Lenox Township will do everything we can to help the family in this tragic time to bring them closure. I would like to thank the Richmond Chamber of Commerce for inviting Lenox Township back. May God bless you, and may God bless all of our communities.
Thank you. And next we have the Supervisor of Columbus Township here with us today, Mr. Bruce Christie. Bruce? Mark Bruce, although a resident and supervisor of Columbus Township, is a business owner in Macomb County in the city of Memphis. So, Bruce?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'll be brief. Since I've been in office for like 10 years, there's been three main things that I've been concerned about. And one of them is our roads were in horrible shape. And so every year we've taken 2 or 3 culverts. There's like a couple hundred cross culverts going through our township. And we've replaced all the bad ones and all the bad bridges. And the final one right now is on Gratiot Road at Bell River, and they'll be doing that next month. So our roads are getting in pretty good shape. Plus we've been heavily investing in ditching and gravel, and so we probably got the best roads in St. Clair County as far as gravel roads go. Another thing is internet service. We're like Pony Express for internet service. We got nothing. and you know, people try to use their hot spots or Frontier maybe or HughesNet, and there's all kind of options, but none of them are good options. And so we've recently looked into fiber optics, and we've used part of our ARPA money to finance a feasibility study for our township, which has just got done, and the numbers look really good for getting fiber optics in, and we're early in the game and getting it done, and the funding's just coming up for that. So that project's going to look pretty good. The other thing is we have this park on Gratiot Road. It used to be a roadside park from the state, and they got tired of it, taking care of it or whatever, and they left it to us years ago, and nothing ever got done with it, and it got in pretty bad disrepair. And for the past 8 years or so, I've been getting grants, and I got close to $1 million in grants for that park, and now it's all come to fruition where the entire length of our park has been all upgraded. They took out all the where the logs go in, log jams. Yeah, they. Excuse me, I'm not a public speaker. But yeah, they took out all the log jams, and they built rifts in there and spawning grounds, and they widened it and deepened it, and we've built some trails and made some fishing turnout spots, and it's beautiful. I mean, you guys all got to come and see it, and we're going to plan on putting in some lighting and pavilions and stuff there, and I just think it's great. And we've also turned over our entire township to the BSNA program, and we're fresh on that, so we're hoping that'll be a good upgrade for us. But that's really all I got, and I thank you for your time, and thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Bye.
All right, we're getting towards the bottom of our program. Keith, I think we're still running pretty close to on time, but I want to take a minute and introduce to you at this time the other person that I work directly for on any given day, and that's our supervisor in Richmond Township. In telling you a little bit about Chris DeVos, he's also new to the supervisor's role, or new, I believe, as of the last presidential election. But here's what I find really interesting about him. He's incredibly involved with our Boy Scouts in Memphis. He is incredibly involved with our Memphis Schools robotic team. He is incredibly involved with the Richmond Lions Club. He is a full-time employee of the county. Mark, I'm not sure how he found time to do that. And because apparently he was bored, he decided to become our township supervisor in Richmond, and he follows the legacy of a lot of really wonderful township supervisors we've had there, and continues to do a great job. Chris, with that, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for the chamber and all the sponsors for this breakfast today. This is a fantastic event. This is my first event here as supervisor. I've been here about 5 or 6 times before as trustee for the township, and every time I come here I find it amazing that every time you need to find a politician, you just leave a microphone on a table and you'll find them. And they really like to talk, and I'll try to keep this brief because I got to get back to work. So, I am also honored to thank you. I'm also honored to give up the seat as being one of the youngest people to serve our community. Thank you, Anthony, for that. So just a few things. If you don't know about Richmond Township, it is a thriving agricultural community. We have 64 miles of county-maintained gravel roads, about 20 miles of paved roads, and about 5,000 residents, and that number seems to continue to grow every day. Even the last couple of years, with what we've had going on in our world, we're still building and selling homes at a very fast rate. Two other things I'd like to highlight for you about our township. First, as we all know, the pandemic was very difficult for many of us in some way, and the township was no exception. What I would like to do is thank our amazing director and staff at the Richmond Lenox EMS agency. Because of them, we were able to transform our senior center into an antibody infusion center to help treat COVID-positive patients, not only in our township, but also in the EMS service area. Because of this agency and their commitment to all of our communities, many lives have been saved. The Richmond Township Board is proud to be part of this service. So thank you, Jeff White, and all of your staff. Next thing I'm excited to talk about is our recreation program. As stated from Lenox Township, we're also trying to move forward with a program that we've been trying to do for many years. Started a few years ago with our past supervisor, Greenia, establishing a recreation master plan and acquiring the real estate adjacent to our current township property. And since that time, the board has secured funds for the grant programs, established a recreation committee, and moved forward with developing a walking path. Future plans also include a pavilion, play structure, flower gardens, and much more. This project's not just any project, though. This is something that many board members have envisioned in the past. I'm just very proud to be part of the board that helps bring this project to life. This project is also something that we can give back to our community, a place where residents can come to spend time with their families, eat their lunch, or just relax and watch a sunset from a park bench. So thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today, and I really look forward to working with all of you in the future.
Thank you. I think the next person on our list for speaking today is our state representative for this area, Jeff Yarrick. Jeff has came to state elected office through public safety. He was first a paramedic and a firefighter, so we had a lot in common when he went to the state. He also served as a counselor here in the city of Richmond. Since Jeff has been in Lansing, I don't want to take up too much of his thunder, but I will tell you that whether you are police, fire, or especially EMS, we have, in my almost 40 years now, we have had no better friend in Lansing who has been no more tireless an advocate. If EMS had a caucus in Lansing, Jeff would in fact lead that, and I think probably unofficially does. So with that, Jeff, it is a pleasure to have you here today.
Good morning, everyone. All right, I know everybody's on their smartphone, but listen up. Okay, I will tell you that you see that Senator Lowers unfortunately was not going to make it, so I will be taking his time. Also, Don Brown's been timing everyone, so we've accumulated some additional. I tend to take those minutes. I'm just kidding. I will tell you that I served on the Richmond City Council for 17 years. To Lansing with a commitment that would never forget what I came through. And I will tell you that I often don't feel like a state rep. I feel like I'm a angry local government official who went to Lansing, like Mr. Smith went to Lansing. I had a debate before I became a rep with a representative, and I said, local government officials are actually the most important level. And they were really shocked. They said, what do you mean? Because there's this idea that there's local, state, federal, and we're all these tiers. And I said, well, clearly because the state and federal government always want us what to do, we must be the most important level of government. They didn't appreciate that. I didn't end up getting their endorsement, but that's fine. I still served, I hope honorably, for the 6 years. It's definitely been an honor to serve this area. And I'm termed out December 31st this year. The gifts of term limits. I believe in term limits, but I think actually ours are too short. I probably have 6 more years of things on my desk that I'd like to take on. That you just have so much. 30 seconds. Thanks. Yeah. You know, I will tell you, during the pandemic, obviously business was hurt really bad. And I think what got missed in this conversation, it wasn't about supporting business, it's about business supports jobs and when you go to work and how you keep a roof on your head and get food and people getting food to your homes. It wasn't just about, making money, because that's what the debate was like, because we closed businesses, we forgot that business is what makes sure that everybody gets food on their table and the farmers and that food gets to them and we have the things that we need and the propane and so forth. But we learned a lot of things during COVID, and I will tell you, I don't think this is the last time we're going to see a pandemic. Today, keep in mind during the last pandemic, during the Spanish flu, you had to get on a boat and come to the United States before it could cross. Today you can wake up in China and be in your bed the same night, unless you get held up in some airport somewhere. But I don't think this is the last time we're going to see this. And one of the things that we learned was that we didn't have enough personal protective equipment. And there was a lag time where our emergency responders and nurses didn't have equipment. So I've been able to get, now, because of my bill that got passed, we're going to have a 2-month supply of PPE that's stockpiled in Michigan to ensure that we have those supplies, and that delay with the federal government coming to us or national suppliers, we're going to make sure we take care of our nurses and our paramedics and our firefighters, and we're able to respond. So, I mean, we could either sling mud about what happened or we could fix it. LARA is the licensing agency that licenses and regulates nursing homes. I'm not going to get into the debate of what happened in nursing homes. We found out that LARA wasn't actually getting feedback from what was going on out there to change our plans. I have a bill that's now in the Senate that says that LARA will ask their frontline employees what they think every 6 months of whether our rules are working and whether we need to change them so we can do a better job serving and protecting our most vulnerable population in nursing homes. The UIA obviously was a huge failure. And we ended up helping a lot of my constituents. In fact, I was on the phone with my constituents. If you called my office, you may hear me answer, Representative Yarrick's office, Representative Yarrick speaking, how can I help you? People were really shocked that I was at the office. I'm like, it was all hands to help our constituents. But again, I was the first legislator to say we need a new UIA director. And we should have replaced the UIA director very early because we lost $8 billion with a B, $billion, either in fraud or inappropriate payments. But I have worked with the UIA director, the new UIA director, who is trying to fix things on a mobilization plan, that how we ramp up the services of UIA when there's a crisis and how we ramp down. This is something I got as a firefighter. A mobilization, demobilization. How do we expand our operation and then demobilize after the emergency? So her and I are actually working together on that. I want to give kudos to Mark Hackle. I will say that, DHS did us wrong on vaccinations, providing vaccines to Macomb County. I do believe it's your choice whether you should be vaccinated or not. It's your body, you should decide whether you get vaccinated. But for the people that wanted to get vaccinated, I wanted to make sure there was vaccines. And I will share, and I'm sorry, Mark, Mark called me on a Friday night. I was at Gordon's doing my family shopping, and Mark calls up, and he's like, and he goes, it's not you, Jeff. I just got my numbers from the state. I can't believe that they're only giving us 7,000 vaccines, and I can provide 50,000 vaccines in my county. And I said, I agree, and I fought with you to push on DHS so that Macomb County had its proper share to take care of our residents. So thank you, Mark, for just being a champion on that. I will tell you, EMS, from my standpoint, I get a lot of emails, and I want to acknowledge EMS, nurses, doctors. And not being a politician, I'm not acknowledging it. I'm acknowledging it because I came from that world. And I will say that these group of people, and the baggers at Kroger, and the nurses and the doctors, I didn't hear any complaints from them. I didn't get any emails. Now, there was one stakeholder group that I'm not going to name that I got a lot of complaints from and that could not function. And it's like, well, you need to give us more money, you need this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to name them, but I will tell you, I never got an email from EMS, fire, and police. They absolutely just went out there and did their jobs and fought through like they always do. So again, I think they deserve a round of applause. Thank you. Just a few kind of updates. I want to tell you that, rural broadband, we hear you. There's money in the budget to help assist with that. Fortunately, Armada got some of that. They're already working. Right, Richmond Township's working on that. Lenox Township, we've discussed, made sure that they knew where that grant money was available. I think one of the things that frustrates me in Lansing is that often small towns, small communities get forgotten in the swamp of Lansing. The opioid settlement that Mark discussed, the part that our Attorney General represented the state of Michigan on, did not include direct assistance for communities of 10,000 or less. It is absolutely appalling that they were cut out of the process. And I'm not suggesting, Mark, that you did. I'm saying our Attorney General was the one that was part of negotiating. It was a national settlement, but I fought to try to get small communities in because opioids are hurting everyone. It doesn't matter if you live in a small town or a big town, you're being hurt. And the money is going to the state, and I'm going to keep advocating that the settlement that goes to the state, that some of that money, make sure we get to small towns, and I'm confident that Mark will make sure that the money the county gets will provide services to small towns, because I don't think Mark's going to forget all the small towns in this county. We talk about road funding. We've actually got $6.8 billion for roads in the budget. Mark alluded to a legislative solution. I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't count on it. In 2001, I was on city council, and we acknowledged then that the legislature was not going to come through. And we put 2 mills of tax a road. We put 2 mills towards roads every year. And if you're around the city of Richmond, you're going to see the roads are pretty solid here. So that's a long-term road funding plan. I'm just being candid about it, because the reality is we have this thing called Act 51. And we are a donor county. Macomb County has 8.7% of the population. We get 7% of the money. So we lose, you can say 1.7, which equates to millions of dollars. You think, what's 1.7? Millions of dollars that we lose that go to other parts of the state. And there's no legislative motivation to make it fair. And I'm sorry, I'm just being candid. I've introduced multiple bills to try to talk about fairness. So every time the state gets extra money for roads, it goes into the formula, which means the UP, again, gets more money, and we get less. I'm just being candid. I'm not a politician, so I'm not going to blow smoke. I'm going to be honest. Don't expect the legislature to come, or our governor either way, state government to come to an agreement. I encourage you to think about raising your road funding locally and make sure it doesn't go through the bureaucratic system, because you're going to be a loser out of that. I'm just being honest about that. One of the things we found, too, I believe in integrity. I'm the subcommittee chair for LARA. With term limits, which I believe in, a lot of the bureaucrats believe that they can lie to the legislature. And one of the bureau directors from LARA lied. We caught them lying to us. And the LARA director would not do anything about it. So I've included in the budget 1 hour of ethics and customer service training for every LARA employee. So I am hoping that that's the message to them. Stop lying. Lying is wrong, and we care about customer service. We talk about integrity. I will tell you that everybody was hurting during the COVID. A lot of people lost jobs. I apologize right now. It's very frustrating that state employees were furloughed for a day, and then they got the PUA payment. They got a $600 payment for taking a day off. And it was absolutely disappointing. And then they actually got to the front of the line in the UAA, which is absolutely frustrating. I will tell you, my staff were not furloughed. They were working for you. And our governor acknowledged last year during the pandemic, said, I'm going to take a 10% pay cut to feel the pain to help the budget. And I agreed with that. And when I was on city council during the recession, we told everybody's going to feel the pain. It's not going to be one. Thank you, Tim Ricks, for your leadership then. Everybody's going to feel the pain. And everybody did, equally. So I took a 10% pay cut, too. And because I wanted to make clear, if I'm going to tell departments, we need you to cut your spending, I'm going to start with me. They won't just cut your pay. You actually have to write a check back to the state. They can't actually not pay you. You have to cut a check back. And I did that. I found out this week that our governor didn't actually do that. She only gave 3%. I will say this kind of frustrating to me, that I think leading by example is actually saying what you're going to do and do what you say. And so that was extremely disappointing. I don't say that as a Republican. I say that as my commitment is always to try to be a statesman and serve my community with integrity. And you should expect better. That's what you should expect from all of us, whether you're a Republican or Democrat. We should all be serving with integrity. I wanted to share with you, see, Mark Hackle and I, we get along and work. He actually borrowed my pen. And I want to share with you, it's a Keith Rangert pen. And these pens are all over town. He passes it around. But Keith Rangert has been such a solid servant of the community, solid public servant. And I keep one of these pens in my desk in the state capitol on the House floor. It always reminds me where I came from and who I serve. And, you know, I had the honor of being on the city council for 17 years, and Mayor Ricks taught us about consensus, because we had liberals and we had conservatives on the Richmond City Council. And we learned about not bomb throwing. And we learned about, hey, we could come to consensus and to understanding, and that, you know, that we could find a place. And I took that with me to Lansing. That's why I'm very honored and a pleasure to see Jamie Green from the Richmond City Council running, because she comes with that same philosophy. And it is my hope that on January 1st, I'm going to hand her a Keith Rangert pen to put in her desk to continue what I hope to be the legacy that I've been about. Thank you very much.
I was just giving you a hard time and trying to find time for our county chair here towards the end. What I wanted to note, because I think this is kind of important to note real quickly, is that something really neat happened up here just a minute ago, and that was we realized that we're certainly in a very polarized world. But as I sat back listening to these folks, I watched a county chairman and my county executive, if you will, work together in a friendly way to cooperate and understand what is going on in each other's county. And then I watched Representative Yarrick get here and turn to his Democratic counterpart and say, we had to work together on how to bring COVID vaccines to this area. And you know what was interesting? When we did those vaccines, and not telling you that we did anything more than a lot of our hospitals and other people's did, here was the thing. Listen, my beeper's going off on me now. That when we brought those COVID vaccines here, we didn't care if people came from Macomb or St. Clair County. We cared that we had a building on the border and that we needed to find a way to get those shots in people's arms. And that's thanks to these gentlemen and the willingness of these communities, Republican, Democrat, county border lines, to work together to make those things happen. With that, I just want to take a minute. We're just about on time, Keith, is to bring up our county chairman, Don Brown, who will kind of wrap things up for us here today. Don?
Thank you, Jeff. Good to see everyone here. Good to see my buddy Jeff Bohm here. Glad to see you got a grocery store in your county now. All right, very good. Good to see Mr. Mayor and Mr. Ricks. Thank you for having us today. It's always good to see you, and obviously our county executive, Mark. You know, we've got a culture. This is my first term as chairman of the Board of Commissioners, and we've started a new program at our board, and that's one team, one mission. We're working together, Democrats and Republicans, we've got a wide variety of political opinions on my board, but we're all focused on serving the public and serving them well, and working with our county executive. Under Mark's leadership, we budget the money, and Mark administers it and runs the county, and he's doing a great job. He's got a great team of staff that he's put together, and we're working well together. It's really remarkable. I mean, it's a change, because I've been on that board a long time, and it hasn't always been that way with the new county, the executive form of government we went into. But in this last 2 years, it's just been remarkable how well we've worked together on partnering and sharing the same vision about working together and putting politics aside. Mark spoke about the art money coming into 3 major projects we're going to be getting underway this year: the jail, the underground, and help maybe upgrading our Health Department building. Those are 3 things that we all share the same values in, and we're working forward to do that in our budget. You know, our budget this year, for the first time, passed $1 billion. Now, that's the largest we've ever had in it as a budget. But that's largely due to the fact that we had so much federal dollars coming in from Washington. But we're putting that money to work, and we're going do a good job for you. You know, yesterday the board approved the surcharge on the phones that support EMS, and that's something the Board of Commissioners does. We allocate taxes, and sometimes they have to go up. Also, we have the, we also passed, we're looking at SMART. The SMART renewal millage is coming up. It's up to our board to decide whether we put it on the ballot. And there's some in the county that want to say, well, you know, maybe we should give communities the option to opt out. Some think that we should even put it on the ballot at all and just let it go away. And, you know, I'm really encouraged by the director we heard from earlier. You know, there's a new SMART coming, and I call it Uber Smart, because the citizens of all the county are going to be able to get the benefits that you here in the Richmond community get, and the people in my community in Washington Township get local personalized service from your door to your store, locally in your own community, and give it so SMART has actual meaningful value to the taxpayers who have been paying the bill. For too long, SMART had long route haul buses that people weren't using. They didn't want to put their wife and children on a bus in an uncovered bus stop somewhere that was unpleasant for them. They were unsafe. We're going to have a new SMART in this county that's going to be able to be more user-friendly for the people that are paying the bill. And I think that's an important step in the right direction. You know, they're bringing forward this SMART proposal, and they're not increasing taxes. You know, they were given them, they assessed $1 million in 2014. You know, that's 8 years ago, and they haven't increased that price since. But everything else's costs have went up quite a bit. And so I think that we're going to be, I think we're getting a pretty good value for them, and we're going to give them a chance. Because they're on, you know, that SMART millage only passed by 33 votes last time in the renewal. 33 votes. That was a very slim margin. And so they definitely know they're on life support. But they've got a new director and a new mission and a new direction they're going to come in. And I think that we should give them an opportunity to prove themselves and get them forward and pass that millage forward. So it's a good thing. There's a lot of things going on that Mark alluded to, and we're going to continue to work together for all of you to make sure that our county is a fine place. It's a great place to work, live, and play, and continue to work with our economic development department, you know, that's very active out here all over the county. Vicki Rad and our team working with our friends in agriculture as well as our local small businesses. We're doing the job on the ground, and we've got good people in place because we share the same mission. We want to serve the public in the best way we can, give value to the taxpayers for the best we can, and we're going to continue to do that. So thank you very much, and I'll see you again. Thank you, Jeff. Good to see you.
Thank you. Recently, I had the opportunity to meet with Chairman Brown, and we talked very much about the SMART millage, and he indicated how much he supported the new vision moving forward. So we look forward to that process. Well, that kind of brings us to somewhat of a conclusion here, although I see a lady in white standing behind me, and she always makes me nervous when she's back there. But I want to point out to Keith Rengert, again, who really was responsible for getting us here this morning, something, and that is recently, Keith, I was at one of these events in a neighboring community, and they said it was going to end at 9:30, and at 11 a.m. we all got out of our seats. So the fact that we went 10 minutes over this morning, I think is a tribute to you, your planning, your organization, all these notes, and getting us all here and getting us done, and I thank you for that. I hope nobody planned to be back at their office till 10 o'clock, only because take a minute when you leave here. There is no better opportunity than this to our student friends and Brian from Richmond Community Schools. There is no better opportunity to make acquaintances here, to talk with people, to shake a hand, and to network. That's what we used to call it before the days of the internet, if you will, and before the days of social media. We called this networking, and we all actually talked in person, and I'm so glad we are back to doing that again. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Susan for some closing comments.
Thank you, Jeff. I neglected to thank a few people this morning who got up very, very early. I know for sure one was at 3 o'clock in the morning to serve this meal. So I'd like to thank Teresa Maniaci. Teresa, thank you for having us. And thank you to your staff, Stacy, Renee, and Lisa. I know you all got up early as well. And also for the ladies that sat you, the ladies that were there at the front door, something a little new we tried. Elena Shuttleworth, Barb Shuttleworth, yes, they're related, and Erin Collins. Thank you, ladies. They work with me at my store. Thank you. Okay. And I only have one thing to say to Don Brown. Don, I know you had some starter problems this morning on your car. You could have called Smart Bus. Would that have been a plan, right? The Smart. So that's all I have to say. Thank you again, everybody, for coming. God bless you all. Thank you.